Hello, I am Michaela Dene with Artists of the World, and I'm here with the wonderful Miss Nikki Giovanni.
How are you, Michaela? Thanks for driving over.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm not really sure whether to call you a poet or a teacher or an artist. If someone were to ask you what your profession was, what would you say it is?
I'm a writer. And what I write, of course, is poetry, but and I also do some essays. I don't do much fiction at all. I'm not very good at that, and I have never done a. Well, I did once when I was maybe 25. I wrote a play, and I adapted it from a book by Virginia Hamilton called Zeely, Zeely, and I was working with a community group and wanted to do something with the kids, and it's about a little girl and how she learns to accept her. I mean, that's so typical and cliche sounding, but it's a lovely book. So, yeah, but that would be it for me. I'm a writer, and I think all writers are teachers one way or the other. I happen to have the pleasure of being here at Virginia Tech and being in the classroom, and the classroom gives you advantages of working with young people. So I know a lot more about like the internet, and I don't Twitter, Google myself, but I don't. And I've just recently learned email because the woman who does my email got sick, and she was in the hospital, and it was like, oh, somebody has to do this. And by the time you hire and train somebody, you may as well do it yourself. So I actually sat down and learned it. I'm still pretty rude. I don't know if we talked, but
yeah, we did.
Yeah. Then you saw that I write in small letters, and my computer. I write on the computer, Michaela, and my computer will raise letters for me, so if it's I, then the computer automatically does it. At the start of a line, it'll automatically capitalize. But of course, the email doesn't. And so all of my email comes in small letters, as you probably saw. So, yeah.
My friend wanted me to ask you, why do you write? What do you hope to accomplish when you're writing, and what is your motive for your writing?
Well, I actually, and I hate to answer this way because you're a young person, but I actually don't have goals like that. I don't know why anybody would be an artist and have a goal. I mean, if that's the case, then, you ought to, write a series like everybody's doing. Was it J.K. Rowling or something? I guess her goal is to, deal with Harry Potter or whoever, who was that girl, Meyer, that writes all those vampires. But I don't have goals. I write what I see. I hope to find people who will share it and enjoy it. And I'm fortunate in that people do read me. But I'm not goal-oriented in that people write me right now and they'll say things like, well, I want to be published. And that's not what you really want. I mean, I would never write back and say that. What you want is to write. Publishing is out of your control. And anything that's not in your control, that's a cliche, it's not in your control. So you have to control what you can. You can control the writing, and you can learn to make it as good as you can make it. But if the goal, it's like people say, I want to be famous. So you think, well, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Fame is a byproduct and not necessarily even a good one. If you talk to people who are famous, it's a byproduct of something else. You have to want to do something. Or it's like, I address we have a big business school here at Virginia Tech, Pamplin School of Business, and every now and then they make the mistake of asking somebody like me to come and talk to the students, and it is a mistake because I don't have a high regard for business people, but they're always saying things like, I want to be rich. Well, what kind of sense does that make? Tell me the product. I mean, if you talk to Steve Jobs or you talk to Bill Gates, they can say, I wanted to build a computer. Now, the fact that they did that made them incredibly rich. We got Apple, we got, all of that stuff. Or what's his name, too? Mark Zuckerberg, who's crazy as a loon, probably. But nonetheless, Zuckerberg wanted to build a network. Money, which he's now one of the youngest billionaires in the world, of course, is a byproduct. Because if he had set out to say, I want to be a billionaire, he'd end up, being a drug dealer. Something really crazy. Yeah. You have to want to produce something, and you have to work to produce that something, and good things should happen, but you have to approach the world with a good spirit.
And do you feel that some people, like some young people, don't have like the right ideas? Because where I go to school, like the graduation rate is like really low. Why do you think it's like that in DC or even other other areas. Why do you think that your young people aren't graduating and don't take school as seriously?
You mean you mean Duke Ellington School?
No. Duke Ellington has like the highest level in DC, but like just the area, that area, it's the lowest rate. Why?
If I lived in Southeast, you know, and somebody said, well, what you need, young man or young lady, is an education, I say, you're out of your mind. Have you looked around? Mm-hmm. And I think that the United States, and particularly this president, number 44, Barack Obama, needs to put some money into Southeast. There's a reason the graduation rate is low. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the schools? Yeah. Have you seen the teachers are underpaid and overworked? The neighborhood is dangerous. There's a reason. And it wasn't because black kids wake up in the morning and say, oh, I don't want to go to school. They don't have a school to go to. They don't have a community. They don't have a play that they can star in. They don't have crayons that they can draw with. They don't have gym. I mean, give me a break. And then everybody wants to blame the kids, like the kids are supposed to overcome that. Nobody else overcomes it. Mm-hmm. Who else do you know goes to work every morning in an office without air conditioning? We're asking those kids to do that, mm-hmm. and to go urinate in a toilet that hasn't been cleaned in the last 5 years because they don't have a janitor. And I don't know. I mean, I don't blame the kids for that at all. And I think it's our responsibility. And I'm very disappointed with the president, because if anybody should have an interest in Washington, D.C., and particularly I mentioned Southeast because I volunteered in Southeast. Mm-hmm. They're great people. And I volunteered at like a couple of the middle school and down. Mm-hmm. But when you get to high school and this is what you're seeing, this is discouraging. You're an American. You know that this is wrong. And you know that whatever it is that somebody's telling you to be involved in, it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And you graduate in Southeast, and what can you do? Join the army and get killed in Afghanistan? It's wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And we had every right to expect more from this president, from this Congress, from this nation, for the district particularly, because the district is supposed to represent the best of us. If I were a Martian coming to the United States and I dropped down in Southeast, I would say this is a terrible country. Okay. These are terrible people, because I would look around at the squalor and the human waste. I really would. And so everybody says, no, we don't want the Martians to land in Southeast. We want them to land in Northwest, and we'll take them to the Ritz, and they'll have a really lovely meal, and they'll see how wonderful we are, but they're not wonderful.
A girl that I talked to, when I told her that I was going to come and talk to you, she made a comment that like really like hit home. She was like, well, she's in the literary area, and she said, well, Nikki Giovanni isn't a role model of mine because she only writes for black people, and I want my writing to go universally. What do you have to say to that? And do you think that you only write for black people, or no?
Well, first of all, if I do, good for me, because I certainly have been written out of literature, and I can go all the way back to the Gutenberg Bible practically, and find that white Americans, white Europeans have written black people out of literature. So I'm not, I'm not playing that game that I'm universal. There's no such thing as universal unless you consider that white is a universal, and I don't. And so one of the reasons that I am a black American writer is that I am not a white American writer. And I am very proud of the stories that I can tell of the people of whom I know and that I am a part of. And if your young friend is white or black, and it doesn't matter to me, and she wants to reach that universal place, goody. That'll make you good and crazy, because you end up with nothing to say. And you'll end up in an MFA program where everything you do is over workshop, and you'll end up trying to get a job someplace teaching composition. Goody. But if you want to have a story to tell, you're going to have to tell the story about someone. We argue, I mean, this is philosophy 101. We argue from the particular to the universal, not from the universal to the particular. Everybody knows that.
So as someone that I look up to and a lot of young people look up to, do you ever feel like just overwhelmed because so many people are looking up to you? And do you feel like you have to like have a certain like walk and a certain talk in order to accomplish what you need to accomplish?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think that I'm a good writer. It's been a progression. I write better now than I did when I first started writing. I know more. I'm a big fan of learning something, and I'm always encouraging people to do that. And I think at any given point, you could wake me up in the middle of the night, and I could tell you that I did or didn't say it. or didn't do it. One of the things that I try to be is honest. And so I'm hoping that anybody that's looking at my career, because that's all you know, you don't really know me, even though we're sitting here talking, you don't know me. But if you look at the career, one of the things that I think is outstanding is that I'm honest. Now, the fact that I'm honest and I use words well is a help. But using words well without honesty is nothing. Isn't that biblical? If I speak with the tongue of men and angels, and have not charity, and charity could be translated, but honesty, you have to be honest. And I think I'm an honest writer, and I think I use words well. So that's, goes back to the universality. Anybody that can't read me isn't paying attention. Because I'm readable and I'm honest. You don't have to like it, because if I say, "Oh, white people lynch black people," somebody says, "Well, that makes white people sad." It didn't make them as sad as a black person that was lynched. So get over it. And you get sick of that. Yeah. And I was just in Columbia, South Carolina, and I love going to South Carolina. I boycotted when we were boycotting, but now we're not, and so I'm going back. And the governor's in love with a black woman because she's Argentinian, so she's black, no matter what he or anybody else thinks. I know his wife knows she's black, and I'm saying, good for Mark. I'm glad you finally realize that black women are way better. But that's not the point. The point is the South, 150 years ago, lost the Civil War. And it becomes so important that we just, hi, you lost. You fought and you lost. And you want to say, well, we fought for states' right. But states' right to do what? Enslave black people. If slavery had not been on the board, the South would never have succeeded. So we don't have to deal with that anymore. And I'm getting tired of people trying to act like the South made sense. They didn't. They were wrong. They were retro. They were evil and bad. And what they wanted to do was not just keep their slaves, but to expand slavery. This would have destroyed the nation. The nation has quite a ways to go. We are not home free by any means. But in 2011, it's way better than it was in 1961, for example, just 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we still had signs saying colored waiting room, colored drinking fountain. You can't live like that. So they were wrong. And 150 years ago, you and I were chattel. We got our name because somebody decided, wouldn't it be clever to call them? We had no birth certificate because we were listed with stock. We were listed with the cows and the pigs and how many bales of cotton were picked. That's no way for human beings to live. The South was wrong. They were wrong. And people get upset if it's, this will hurt their feelings. Fuck their feelings. Excuse me. No, we have a world to conquer out here. And young people cannot carry that burden of somebody else's mistake. They were wrong. It's that simple. And so I don't even see what the issue is. I keep reading it because we're at the 150th anniversary and everybody's like, well, we need to examine. There's nothing to examine. They were wrong. And they lost. And they should have lost. The fact that they killed Lincoln, well, I'm sorry about Lincoln. I'm sorry about Malcolm X. I'm sorry about Emmett Till. I'm sorry about John Kennedy. I'm sorry about all of the people that we don't know who were killed. But nonetheless, the South was wrong. And they were wrong then, and they're wrong now. It's that simple.